Hello there, friends. It is just me this week. As you can tell, there is only one camera. That is because Shadora is a loser and has decided he would rather go to Japan and have like a cool vacation or whatever rather than hang out and, do the unpaid job that is streaming Blood Bowl. So clearly, I just blame Shadora. Will do my best to, carry it this week. There will be obviously less banter considering it's just me. Hopefully I can still be entertaining. We all know I do most of the talking anyway. Perhaps there'll be a bit more chat interaction or something. I don't know. This week is also most of the playoff positions are essentially locked up. They're not locked up in these divisions in particular, but they are basically down to 2 coaches or so in each division. So the outcome of the matches is less serious. So the predictions don't matter as much and that kind of thing. But we'll still do it. And I'll be competing against myself for the predictions, I suppose, and we'll be making fun of Shadora a lot, considering he's not actually here. So, be capable of doing that. That'll be good. So this week, let's see. I gotta make sure I have the predictions up somewhere so I can take a look at what we did last week. And I'll also need to be writing them down on my own because Shadora normally does that, and he's not here. So there you go. Yeah, steak solo, WElves. Sadly, but it's just 1 week. This is the preview for week 13, I guess. There's 1 match remaining, ideally, for everybody. So we will probably do one next week as well, but it'll be a slightly different format. This week we're going to be taking a look at matches, because it's that time of year. And by that time of year, I mean it's the second week in our sort of 2-week rotational cycle. Where we look at matches. So we'll be doing that this week, and then next week we'll probably pop up and we'll take a look at what the teams are looking like at the end of the season. There's no point in doing predictions when there won't be any more matches next week, but I don't know if he's back by then. But if he's not, I'll certainly just take a look by myself, and if he is, the 2 of us will take a look. We can go over all of the teams and see how they're shaping up at the end of the season. Take a look at the 2 playoff teams that are going to qualify, one from each division. Maybe take a look at who they're going to be facing in the first round. It's something we could do next week, but next week is definitely basically the last one of the season. And then we'll jump into playoff stuff where people's games are going to be, casted every time. I believe that basically every REBBL playoff match gets casted by someone or somebody. I would prefer to give the matches to the big names. If like Herring's or Metal or somebody is going to cast it, then they'll take it because it's more eyes on the match, and I think that's great. But if I get a shot, I'm going to try to cast or at least be involved in the cast for any of the teams that are coming from 9D and 9E. So dumb. Oh man. Okay, well, we have a couple options for the 9E match. I have one that I was thinking of looking at, but, this is my show. I'm the only one here. I can watch whatever we feel like. If you guys want to take a look at one of them, we certainly can do that. But the 9D match that we're going to look at, let's jump into it now, I suppose, is we're going to look at 2 teams we've looked at before. So that's not ideal, but this is a match that had big playoff implications. We've got the AverageRiceJoes, coached by AverageRice, who is currently in 2nd place in the division, and we have the Foul Targets, coached by Jeff, who are 1st place in the division, and they were playing this week. So this was a big game for AverageRiceJoes if they wanted to overtake Jeff and the Foul Targets to try and secure that playoff spot. So yeah, exactly, WElves. That's why I wanted to watch this one. I'm going to try to watch the matches with playoff implications. So that means we could watch, One Cheese and your match in 9E. But there's a couple matches that were interesting looking to me, so we'll take a look at those. I'll have this sort of screen hidden from you guys, so you won't see the results, and we can just kind of decide when we get there. But for now, let's take a look at this. This match is big. If Jeff wins, that absolutely ruins AverageRice's shot at making it to the playoffs. He won't be able to catch up. If they tie, or if the Average Race Joes win, then Average Race Joes have a shot. They're going to have to... depends on which one happens, but if the Average Race Joes win, and then the foul targets lose next week, and then some TD differential stuff happens, they could overtake them. It's mostly in Jeff's favor, but if Average Race plays really well in this game and the next one, there is a shot for him. So let's jump in and see what happens here. Looks like we've got the Wood Elves kicking to the Lizards first. I'm not sure whose choice that was. I have a feeling it was probably the Average Race Joes. And he picked up Hemlock, which is really funny. I remember us talking about this last week and how we thought it could be a reasonable option against Wood Elves. That's a Blodge Step Skink. It's another skink to keep up with the Wood Elves, especially when I think he was down a Saurus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because he had a miss next game one. And it also gives you the stab option, which is kind of fun against Wood Elves. And, you know, there's a lot of Blodge, there's a lot of low armor. So we've got that option here. Where did he go? I can't find him. There he is. He's protected. If I recall correctly, I think he chose to defend. Hemlock is really cool. I'm excited to see him. This is one of those like rare matchups where it's actually good. Extra reroll for both people. Setting up to get some blocks on these lizards. Dedicating a lot of Wood Elves to do so, but they're okay with that. They can just move them away later. And the tree, you know, you get a hit on the Saurus later. That's fine. It's an easy 2-die, and it's Mighty Blow. It's just an extra shot at hurting somebody. You just probably want to do that last when it doesn't matter anymore. Looks like he's setting up for the Blitz on Wake Goodman with the Frenzy War Dancer. Finds the POW on the first one, though, so he doesn't need to follow in. Presumably just trying to make some holes here. We've got the thrower and a catcher back here dealing with the ball. Surehand's doing a thing and just instantly takes the pass to the catcher. I mean, it's a really easy pass, and it levels up the thrower, so there you go. Tree takes root, but does find a knockdown on the Saurus. That's unfortunate. Take root on turn 1. From this point, the lizards can just ignore that tree forever, and the Wood Elves have kind of lost their strength advantage here. It was a risky frenzy block, certainly, if it failed. I would have considered the other side. Diving tackle is going to be big in this matchup, too. I would have considered stabbing him, honestly. I mean, you have a lot of... this is probably better. You have a lot... There's a lot of... man, this goes really fast. There's a lot of scoring threats for Wood Elves. And this one is definitely better because this is the catcher, so that one's scarier. Yeah. You do want to make sure you utilize stab. You did pick him up for that. But knocking over this guy is probably better than knocking over this guy, considering this one was a catcher. And there are several Wood Elf scoring threats. There's not a whole lot you can do, sadly. Putting Prehensile Tail on a couple Elves seems good. Yeah, diving tackle on a guy in scoring range is also a good idea. He's not actually in scoring range anymore, but you might want to have put him on this guy because he's the only one who can score right now. But it's, you know, these are all wishful things against Wood Elves. Wood Elves can basically score whenever they want to. It's so difficult to put a huge defense up against them. But if they score on like turn 2, then that's a win for you, really. Another handoff to the thrower now. Now that the thrower is leveled, we'll take that back. He's just going to go for the pass. So that's a pass in a tackle zone. So it's a 3+ catch instead of a 2+, but he does get the reroll. Or no, he doesn't have a free reroll because that's not a catcher. Spends a reroll on it and scores. If you had the diving tackle on there, that might have been a bit more annoying, and the other guys weren't in scoring range, so I would have considered maybe doing that. But scoring on turn 2 is not bad because now you can spend 7 turns beating up elves and getting ready to score on turn 8, and then he kicks to you again, and then you do the sort of classic 2-1 grind and hope he doesn't steal it from you. That was certainly really risky, and I don't even know if I agree with it, honestly. Scoring this early is a big win for the Lizards, because now they get 7 turns to punch your elves to death. It would have made more sense if Hemlock was a secret weapon, because then you get him off the field right away, but it turns out he's not, so that doesn't matter. I like this too. You get a chance to just give him a stab. If it doesn't work, hit him. The other thing you can do here is just kind of ignore the tree. I mean, on the one hand, keeping the tree stuck up forever is a good idea, but you could go like 1, 2, 3 with your line players, and then you get blocks on these elves, and you can just ignore the tree totally. And if he blitzes with the tree, that's kind of a win. But there's an argument for tying up the tree, certainly. Extra reroll. See if we can break some Wood Elf armor here. Called it! 1 KO. Mighty Blow doing a thing. This is exactly what the Lizards want here. Oh. Just a stun. They're going to try to break Wood Elf armor for 7 turns and then score on turn 8. Yeah. It's difficult to get the Crocs being stuck up on the tree is a little annoying, but you can now punch him and he's on the ground, so he's going to have to roll to stand up. So that makes sense. Kind of, if you can do this without dedicating too many resources, it's a good idea. But sometimes it's hard to do on trees. Fortunately, I think you have to use a reroll there because elves can exploit that pretty well. That's true, Rex, but there is a diving tackle skink, which can be super annoying if you have him sort of involved in the cage anywhere. Ward Answer might not be able to dodge back out afterwards easily, and then that can result in a dead Ward Answer. Finds a knockdown on the Saurus. The Wood Elves are hitting Saurus over Skinks. The Lizards are pleased. The downside here, though, is that this is a lot of strength stuck on this tree. If this tree doesn't fail to get up, then this is kind of bad for the Lizards here. Prehensile Tail into a foul. Passes the dodge. Fouls the Saurus, but no result. Tree, did he just... Oh, he didn't. Did he fail the stand-up? I didn't see. I'm not sure if he failed the stand-up or if he just didn't try to stand up. Did he just not try to stand up? Dodge, block armor, dodge, going for it, foul roll. No, he just didn't stand up the tree, which I think is a mistake. Because if you had stood up that tree, that would have been 4 of the Lizards' like strong players stuck there, which is really bad for the Lizards. So this is good for the Lizards in the fact that they can get those players out. And this is where you kind of do your best to set up like the sort of anti-cage dive or the anti-leap cage, where you can kind of, if you have enough players, elongate the X a little bit, try to put diving tackle in some annoying places so that it's harder for him to leap in. The other thing is here, you can get a lot of elves stuck up on players. 1, 2, 3, 4, this is what, 5 elves that now have to roll. Well, 4 elves that have to roll to get away and do something useful. To be fair, it's a 2+ that they have to roll. But it's still dice they have to roll, right? It's the best you can do against elves is making them roll dice sometimes. Tree stands up, remembers to stand up this time. Passes the stand-up roll. And, you know, it looks like he's going to want an elf screen here, but he's got like 2 available elves, in all honesty. These guys are all kind of stuck. At least not without rolling dice. Keeping the Frenzy Step guy back there. It's a safety. Finds a POW on the skink. That's the diving tackle, one of the diving tackle ones too, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, it's just skink hunting. I mean, he has the option to, so he's gonna. On the one hand, this skink is preventing them from, you know, it was kind of a bit of a screen skink here, and he used the blitz on the skink rather than somewhere else. But if you're planning on scoring really fast, that's a good idea. Like exposing your skinks to get some sort of advantage now so that you can score more quickly is great. But exposing your skinks, if you're planning on stalling, he's going to just ignore your stall and hunt the skinks because he's happy to let you stall, really. If he has the like, he can let you stall a turn or two. Elves can one turn really easily, and he's just going to hunt the skinks. So that's a little scary. See, he's going to make dodges. I mean, he passed them all, but sometimes elves fail. It's a thing that happens. There you go. There's one that failed. Alex to reroll it. But that's a reroll gone. I mean, he had 4, but so it's not really too much of a pain. Alrighty. Insta Mighty Blow Blitz, and that's on the thrower, which is a valuable piece. Not finding a knockdown, but grade rerolls it into a POW, which is, you know, something that if you don't plan on doing anything risky this turn, I would consider it. That's Mighty Blow, block 2 die on a valuable thrower, so seems reasonable to me. Mark up some of those players. That Bonehead is really bad. Because this is going to expose your ball carrier unless you put him in a... Depending on where you put him. Because that Bonehead was keeping your ball safe. That's not exactly safe. This, War Dancer can just leap out. Or even just dodge out, honestly. That's a bit better. The leaps aren't ideal here. Although this, if he can block this, if he blocks the Saurus with this tree, then he has a leap into a blitz really easily. Worst case, it's a 1 die if he doesn't run all the way around, and that's he's fine with that because it's strip all tackle. Comes the other War Dancer. Nope, he just goes for it. I mean, yeah, you could do that too. I mean, this way you have to roll more dodges. But he failed. Ooh, that was so... He leaped onto a diving tackle player. And then dodged... that was a 4+ dodge. I feel like he forgot about the diving tackle. He could have knocked this guy out of the way, and then that would have been a similar just 1 dodge around, and he wouldn't have had to deal with the diving tackle. But I feel like he forgot about it there, which could have punished him really hard, but it did not in this case. Oh yes, right. Jeff did message me before this and said, if you look at my game, remember that I played it without a lot of sleep and a bottle of wine, I believe. So I think there might have been a better way to do that, but not punished for it, so it works out for him. No, didn't find the knockdown anyway, so you would have had to dodge through here or leaped or something. But you could have like leaped like this and then just done a... It still would have been dodges because you didn't find a knockdown, but you could have done that first. I would really consider stab blitzing this guy because your Mighty Blow... Where's your Mighty Blow, dude? There's a Mighty Blow Saurus is not going to be able to reach this War Dancer, and this War Dancer is the most critical piece for Jeff winning this game against you. Like, that is the strip ball tackle where none of your ball carriers are sure hands. Like, your best is block dodge, and the tackle counters that. I would honestly strongly consider just stabbing him. Like a stab blitz here. If you can hit with your Mighty Blow guy, that's obviously better, but there aren't any targets for you that are, other than this thrower, that are majorly important. And I think I would, like, it's not amazingly likely to, like, remove him. But if you do remove him, you're rewarded so much, I would consider stabbing him here. And even if you failed the stab, You could have like just blocked him with this guy or whatever. Oh, you find the KO anyway, so ignore me. He's gone. Perfect. That makes the skink a lot safer to go where he wants. There is still this War Dancer who leaps better, but he does not have the tackle or the strip ball. So he's looking for a 1 in 6 on his dives, because this guy is block. Yeah, I mean, it is a ballsy Apo on the one hand. On the other hand, though, like I said, that's how you win this game. Is this guy is huge. He's so important because he can just remove like 2 die uphill against skinks. All like he can, and he doesn't even need uphill because he gets 1 dies basically because skinks. So this is such a big important piece for this. Not having him removed, especially like because you're risking him not coming back for several turns, and that's such a big threat. Because like if he's out, then AverageRice just doesn't score till turn 8 guaranteed, and then you have a chance that he doesn't come back. And since this was your drive, you don't have two rolls at it, so that's it'd be really scary if he didn't come back going into the second half when it's 1-1. So I really think that that was like, it's a risky Apo, but I think it was a good Apo, honestly. So let's see what we have here. Is he just going to go for it with the other War Dancer? Does. This is what I mean. Like, it's so easy for him to get 2 dies. Finds the power. It's like, it's so easy for him to get 2 dies in here if you don't keep the cage tight, right? If this guy was here, this would have still just been a 1 die. This guy have guard? He does. So he could have gone here and it still would have been a 1 die. Keeping the cage tight is important. But since this guy isn't strip tackle, that 1 die is way less likely to work than this 2 die. But this 2 die is pretty likely considering frenzy. Scary though. That's really scary if that failed. Finds a stun, which is really good for the Wood Elves. Scatters the Saurus onto the ball. Don't tell me the Treeman catches it. Okay, no, good. I was about to flip because my game lagged a little bit. Snakes the ball and runs off. Like, this is why you really need to be careful against the War Dancers. There's always that threat there. Leaving your cage. It's the same thing that Skaven will do. Even if there's a single spot that they can take advantage of, they'll do it, and it'll probably work. Especially as lizards, because your ball carriers are strength 2, which is pretty terrifying. Although you're going to stab him next turn, which I'm really looking forward to. Stab, stab, stab. Give him a stab, give him a stab. Stab him, stab him. If it fails, it doesn't hurt you. Just stab him. I want to see the stab. Diving tackle on the ball is good, but it's pretty easy for them to get rid of it. Oh, it fails the stab. That's disappointing. Failed GFI. Makes it. Diving tackle on the ball is annoying, but it's pretty easy to get rid of the skink unless you do something about one of these elves. Crocs is going to hit the War Dancer for a 3 die. Oh, injury. That's big. That's the downside of jumping into your War Dancers, is there's always that chance of retaliation, and that injury is going to... It's not this War Dancer, thankfully, but that's one less War Dancer for the rest of the game, and this guy has a target on his head a mile high now. Yep, this makes sense. Might as well hit the ball carrier, especially since he doesn't have dodge. Pop the ball free. It's a really bad scatter. It's pretty easy for the Wood Elves to get a hold of the ball here, honestly. You really needed that scatter to go somewhere else. Wood Elves are going to clear off the ball pretty easily. And then I think they can score. Yeah, that's a catcher, so they can score from here. No, they can't. But they can score next turn. Did he just have to use... No, he did not have to use that. A lot of GFIs. It's pretty scary. But you still have rerolls. I think he hasn't rerolled this yet. No, he has a reroll. Fails that dodge, elects to use the reroll there, so now there's no more rerolls. This is dodge into a skink foul. Although that's a diving tackle skink, which is a really scary piece against the WElves, so that kind of makes sense. It's unassisted, but it's still 7+. Take root is annoying. It doesn't really matter at this point, though. There's only really one turn left. And basing up with your thrower here is scary, because he's going to get punched by the Mighty Blow guy, but you need to have this Saurus locked down so that he doesn't hit the ball. Sacrificing an elf to win the game. Squiggy would be proud. Just finds a push, so you're not punished for it. This Saurus can technically hit the ball with 2 GFIs. Is a 2-die. This current situation is not looking great for the AverageRiceJoes, though. You'd really like to be 1-1 on this on your turn 8 here. Does the play? Fails the second GFI. You've got to reroll, though. Just a push. Ugh. That's annoying. There is diving tackle on the ward answer, though, so this is a little more annoying to get rid of, but there's the 2+ dodge out option here. There are no rerolls, though. He does have dodge. That doesn't matter. Fails the dodge around the tree. Can't reroll it. He does have a skink in scoring range, so if something miraculous happens here, the lizards can certainly still end up 1-1. Yeah, this is not ideal for the lizards, certainly. You'd really like to be 1-1 at this point. So this is probably a little frustrating for AverageRice. I don't know if you could have done... I wasn't paying attention enough to know if you could have done something to tighten up this cage a little bit down here, but that cage being down was pretty... or having an opening was something that was fairly easy for the WElves to exploit. It worked out. It could have been extra bad for them. It could have been really bad for the WElves if that failed, because that was a Mighty Blow, or that was a Frenzy ward answer. So if that failed, it would have been really, really bad for them. Like, that's super risky, in the fact that it would have been so bad if they failed, but it's likely to work because it was a 2-die. If he didn't make the first one, though, the Frenzy would have been pretty rough. Anyway, let's see if he makes it through here. Sidestep does not help, so there's still diving tackle on the ball. He's going to try to blitz his way free. Finds the POW. So that works, and now he can get around and score. That's always unfortunate. You want the diving tackle on the ball, certainly, so that he doesn't want to just take the 2+ dodge, because the 2+ dodge is essentially the same. The 2+ dodge of the reroll is essentially the same as a 2-die. So you want to prevent that 2+ dodge. You'd rather him take the 1-die than the 2+ dodge. So that was the correct play there, certainly, as the lizards, but unfortunate that it didn't work out, because that catcher does not have tackle, so the dodge could have been really annoying if he just got a stumble. Well, can the lizards one turn? Somehow, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's theoretically possible, but the tree is annoying, and you'll probably have to do a pass with the skink or something. Probably go for attrition here. Not that you really have much in the way of options for attrition. The scary thing for the WElves now is that their aggressive Apo use means that there's still 8 turns of lizard punching to go, and every one of those removals is a permanent one, and you're already down to 1 ward answer. So that ward answer, that strip ball ward answer, is a massive target on his head, and if he goes down, he's not coming back. That was a little risky, I guess. Unless you're planning on going for... Oh, he did. I think he did set up for the 1 turn. Yeah, he did. So here we go. Wood Elves are a really hard matchup for Lizards, certainly. Skink Blitz. Although not the push you were looking for, unfortunately. So there goes that immediately. And you had to use a reroll to pick up the ball, so you're not getting that. So at this point, you just go for attrition, I suppose, yeah? Just a stun there. You could have hit the tree, too, but not likely to actually hurt it, I suppose. Wood Elves are a really rough match for Lizards, because they do rely on that ward answer cage dive, you know, to just sneak the ball away from you and then run away. Your speed isn't really enough as Lizards to keep up with the Wood Elves that exposing your skinks, and the ward answer jump into the cage thing works really well against strength 2 ball carriers, it turns out, because then they can just get 1 dies or 2 dies fairly easily. It's very easy for them to remove the ball unless you happen to have a sure hand skink who is that's a double, and most Lizard coaches would rather pick up block on the skink on the first double. So you basically need 2 doubles to get a block sure hand skink to be even remotely safe from those ward answers. So it's a bad matchup for Lizards, certainly. Yep, and Volpez and Average Rice both agree with me in chat there that it's a rough matchup, and for those reasons, the strength 2 and the sure hands and stuff. Good news is this is the Lizards' drive. First time they went on offense here, didn't quite work out for them, but there is 1 less ward answer this time. Sure hand Saurus. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. Extra reroll for the Lizards is going to help. Deep kick doesn't help too much, and now the Lizards are feeling a bit more pressure to score. In that they can't lose this game. Remember, if they lose this game, Jeff goes to finals or goes to playoffs for sure. Average Rice needs to at least tie this to have a shot. Ideally, he would like to win. And that's not looking very good for him so far. So he's under a lot of pressure to try to score quickly here, and then if you score quickly, you've got to balance that too. You got to make sure you leave yourself enough room to steal the ball off the Wood Elves and score again. But you also want to make sure that you spend as many turns as possible utilizing your Mighty Blow and your strength over these Armor 7 Wood Elves. You know, it's going to be easier to steal it from them if you hurt them, but you need more turns to hurt them, but you also need more turns to steal it from them. So it's kind of a balancing act that you need to work out in your mind, and it's not an easy one for sure. Remembers to stand up the tree this time. Losing a turn of forward progression certainly doesn't help. Although I don't think the Wood Elves can actually take advantage of that. I don't think there's anybody who can actually get there. Catcher is the fastest when he's on the ground, so I think we're just going to take a hit on a Saurus. Yeah. Well, you guys are both at the top of the table for a reason. Both of you seem to know what you're doing with Wood Elves and Lizards, respectively. See, or you could just ignore the huge Jackman Memorial Cup strategy of actually trying to score and do what I did, which took me all the way to the finals this year, which is just ignore scoring completely and build inducement halflings to purchase as many big guys as possible. So every match, basically, I had 2 Treemen, Deeproot Strong Branch, and like Morg, because I built halflings at 500 TV. And then you have 4 big guys on the pitch, and you just pummel the opponents into submission, and you get more points than winning, because as long as a big guy gets the most SPP, you get 2. As long as I got 1 injury on a big guy and then didn't win, I still got more points than winning. Was real. Yeah, see, what's really funny morally is I didn't win a game in the Huge Jackman Memorial Cup. I think I won 1 game, but I made it to finals because of how the rules were and how I just played it. It was all about big guy SPP, so I just took a whole bunch of big guys and used them to smash other people and gain a lot of SPP out of it. And then since halflings didn't do anything, my big guys always had the most SPP on the team, and I got the bonus points for that, which was always worth more than a win, right? So I think my lowest point game was like 4 or 5 points or something, and my highest was like 23, just because I got a bunch of big guy SPP and I, killed somebody by throwing a halfling at them. Anyway, back to this game. Punch in the Crocs. There's a lot of elves stuck up, though. Like, this is a really good Croc spot. You just stand up and put this Crocs here, and then that's 3 elves who have to dodge away from Prehensile Tail. I mean, it makes it a 3+ instead of a 2+, and some of them will have rerolls built in there. Well, actually, only the Word Answer will. But that's still rolls they have to make. Alright. We're going to punch the catcher this time, presumably. Yep. There he goes. Just a push. Sadly. But it does push him onto the Crocs. They can still block the Crocs here, unless you put somebody else in, because this is 3, 4, 5. This is a 1 die. So you put him here, and then you have to follow this. Yeah, because now they can block him. You don't have to follow it, actually. Putting the mare is even better. Never mind. Ignore me. This is really nice for the lizards. There's so many wood elves that are stuck in a spot. And the downside is this tree will have 3 lizards on him if he stands up. And that tree will be tying up 3 lizards, which is kind of bad. But you're also tying up 5 elves, including their catcher and their ward answer and their thrower with 3 players here. 6 elves. I can count. Tree stands up, but this is where the dodges start to occur. I'm going to be able to punch this guy to try and get him out of the way. Guard helping out, though, but there's just so many elves dedicated to this, right? As Liz, like, yeah, sure, this is pretty easy for the lizards to, like, or the elves to get out of, but, like, they're dedicating over half the remaining team to blocking 2 players. That's really, that's a win. More pushes. Just cheeky uphill. Finds it. Wow. That was a little bit lucky. Goes after the skink just to push. So not rewarded for their luck. Greed rerolls onto a skink and finds a knockdown. Still an uphill though, right? There's a skull. Yeah, that bonehead is so bad. Oof, that's really rough. But a push wouldn't have been good. It wouldn't have... Well, push could have helped a little bit, I suppose. And the Mighty Blow begins to activate. I didn't actually see. The push could have been good enough, I'm not sure. If the push was good enough, then that was probably fine to do. Especially since you did it mostly last. But to be fair, you found double knockdowns, which is... Like, the end result of the block wasn't lucky, I should say, I guess. But the dice you happened to roll were lucky ones. But it didn't matter. So it doesn't really matter. Well... He fails his bonehead, you fail your take root, and your stand up. We're just going to have some big guys lying on the ground at each other. This failed bonehead is really bad, though. He was doing a really good job of tying up so many elves, and now a lot of them are going to be able to escape pretty easily because of that bonehead. Failing the leap, though. So if we take a reroll there. Down to 0 rerolls on turn 11 is not not the best thing for the WElves. They'd like to have more, especially since they haven't like actually gone after the ball yet. You know, if they fail that leap into the cage or something, that is going to be a War Dancer that gets stomped on without the chance of rerolling it. So that's a little scary. Average Rice still has 3. Not finding the dice needed to knock over this block source. Oh. KO goes down. This is kind of what the Lizards wanted in the last half. They're getting it now. They didn't get it last half, but this is what they wanted then. Is you know, if you can remove an elf a turn by the time you get around to about turn 8, then suddenly the elf team is looking a lot worse for wear. Get some blocks here to take as well. This is another nice thing, right? Is that he's dodge, or he's blodge step actually, Temlock. So he's really annoying to like remove from a certain position. He's also expendable in that you don't care if he dies. So having him like mark up the tree and keep the tree from being somewhere else is not terrible at all. Mighty blow onto the War Dancer. No tackle, unfortunately. So the stumbles is not good enough. Insta blitz from the War Dancer onto the skink. And the skinks are targets, so I understand that, certainly. Down goes the skink. Injury. Just a miss next game, I believe. Yes. Injury we found here, I think, is also just miss next game, right? Or no, it's badly hurt, so that's fine. And if they decide to do something about it and fail, you know, you can sidestep your way onto a player, and then you get a free stab on armor 7, which is pretty good, turns out. Prehensile Tail doing a thing, making that dodge a 4+. And that's a turnover, so you get a free stab here. On the kick guy, which is kind of an important piece, honestly. Goes for it, finds the stab. The stun, not what you want, but, you know, still good. That's one less elf for next turn. I feel like he wanted to do something about this, but then the failed dodge made it so he couldn't. Do you have a free skink? Stomp on that War Dancer. Oh my god, give him a foul. You have a rookie skink, right? Yeah, give that guy a stomp. No! Failed GFI. Okay, safe. This is a really good foul. I would take that, honestly. The War Dancer is such an important piece, too. Foul him. Foul him. Yeah! You're the man. You're the man, Average Rice. Kick that War Dancer. Sent off for just a stun. Not rewarded in the way you'd like, but that was a 4, like... Sadly, not rewarded, but I think that was certainly the right play. Especially since your ball carrier is a little exposed right now. If that wasn't a stun, or you didn't foul him, that was a pretty easy removal for the War Dancer. He just leaps out and goes and punches him. So you should be okay here, thankfully. Side step. Keep yourself based up. Give him a stab next turn. I'd consider, if you could do it with like Hemlock or somebody, I would consider giving him a boot again. But you're down to 2 skinks. Oh, you have an extra skink. The downside is this is a diving tackle skink, and that's really important. And this is the ball carrying skink. I don't know if you can risk another skink right now for a stomp on a guy who's already stunned. Especially since you need to score. Like, if you want to tie this up, because this is a do-or-die match for Average Rice. He needs to win or tie this. And you're down 2-0. I think you have to take this touchdown here. So risking the turnover on a foul is not ideal, honestly. Especially when it's just on a stun guy. I mean, I'd consider it, but I think you have to score here, so... Takes the touchdown. Which I think is correct. Dwight Baumgarten getting the touchdown. See if this KO comes back. There's 4 of them. 2 of them do, so 2 of them out. 50, exactly as you'd expect. Now the Lizards have got, well, 2 turns to try and steal the ball and score to tie it up. See if they can do it. They need to if they want to have a chance at the playoffs. Remember, this is do or die, right? If the WElves score here, or if the Lizards don't tie this up or don't win, I don't think they're going to win at this point, but they have a shot at tying it. If they tie, then they have a chance to go to the playoffs. If they lose, they are conceding their playoff position to Jeff and the Foul Targets. So it's a big match for the Lizards. So as Jeff here, you're getting the ball. One turning might be a bit hard against the Lizards because Saurus, you got to push around strength 4. Extra reroll for the AverageRiceJoes, but if you can like 2-turn this, which you're pretty good at, honestly, especially since you got your thrower back and you've got the catcher, you shouldn't have too much difficulty 2-turning this. And if you do, then that's GG for Average Rice. He's not going to the playoffs, and you definitely are. So if you can score quick here, this is probably what you want to aim to do. Diving Tackle Skink is the most threatening player to your 2-turn attempt, so blitzing him I think is also the correct move. Finds the ball in the thrower. He's not exactly safe there, unfortunately. Oh no, that's really bad. I was gonna say, like, he's not safe there, so you need to get that ball out. So we try to do a 3+ pass, which with a reroll is pretty likely. You know, it's a 1 in 9. So your 1 in 9's the pass. And that leaves that you have 2 free wood. You have 2 free wood. Or no, that's a turnover. Duh. But this is an easy blitz for the Lizards and a pickup. That's really unfortunate for the WElves. That's big. That's really bad for the WElves. Oof. Yeah, you just punch this guy, find the block. I saw like that he clipped through the ball, and I thought he was trying to pick up the ball on the Saurus. And I was like, what are you doing? You don't have any other free blocks. So you try to pick it up and you put the ball somewhere safe as possible. The ward answer being so far away means he's not really able to get to you if you can get down here, so that's really big. It's kind of a pseudo cage, but it's good enough when the ward answer isn't involved. Fails to pick up, you reroll that 1,000,000% of the time. And you got, oh man, this hole in the middle is really bad. I mean, sometimes he just hoped he didn't roll that 1 in 9, but unfortunately he did. This is really bad for the WElves. I mean, your ward answer's out of range, right? No, ward answer can get there. He's on the diving tackle guy though, so it's probably better to just try cage diving it with like one of the regular players, I suppose. Oh, and then the skull, double skulls in the tree. Not that it matters, you're not really going to do much else at this point. But kind of insult to injury on that 1 in 9. Yeah, all the Lizards have to do is block off this lineman, and then that's tie game. Well, they need to make it more of a hole, I suppose. Failure on the stab is unfortunate. Finds another KO. You don't really need to do these here, right? He needs to... oh, you just move. You can hand off or you move this skink. I mean, it's not too hard. You don't need to do these. See, this scares the crap out of me. If I knew that this game was do or die for playoffs for me, I would be so scared of doing those. Like, yeah, they're 2-die blocks when you have block. They're so likely to work. But, like, quad skulls happen. They're so likely to work. Like, this is me being dumb. This is not any, like, dissing towards you or anything. This is just me being dumb. I'd feel so scared doing those blocks. I would, like, immediately just try to score and be like, I've got to win this, I've got to win this, I've got to win this. And I would do the one thing I needed to do, which is block this guy and then just go score. I'd be so scared. I know it's absolutely the right play because you want to remove his chances at one turning and all that kind of stuff, but it's just so, like, my heart would be, like, beating out of my chest doing those blocks. No, it's absolutely correct. Like, I'm not saying it's wrong. That's why I'm saying it's me being dumb. I would be scared to do them. While they definitely help you in the long run, I'd be so scared. 1 KO comes back. I think that was I couldn't tell who that piece was, actually. We'll have to see. This is where you do your best to defend against the 1 turn and hope. So let's see. Does he have a catcher back? He does have a catcher. So there's the 1 turn is on. That's the easiest way to do the catcher. And he has the thrower, which are sort of 2 important pieces for this. So we set up in a way to try and make the 1 turn hard or impossible, essentially. Crocs is difficult to block. It's going to be difficult to get these pushes the way you need them to. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you were greedy and you got punished for it, I guess, is all there is to say for it. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes 1 and 9s happen, and they happen to happen at a really bad time. The other thing is you could kind of afford to be greedy, because even if you lost this, you still have a good chance of going to the playoffs, whereas he needs to win. The Blitz certainly does not help your 1-turn shot here. He's just going to, blitz that catcher, and then there goes that shot. Down he goes. Still technically possible, but incredibly difficult. Because you need more pushes, you need 2 extra pushes, and I don't think he's accomplishing that with the way Average Rice is set up. So somehow, despite being down 2-0 in the first half, we end up tied 2-2. Average Rice, Joe being a little, or Jeff... Thinking AverageRiceJoes. Jeff being a little greedy on the last drive, getting 1 and 9, and then Average Rice being able to take advantage of it well. We'll set this game up for 2-2 draw. It's a good match. And these 2 are your 9D playoff contenders. So one of these 2 teams is going to be representing your division in the playoffs. So I hope you guys are out there cheering for them when that occurs. 2-2. Get an MVP on the War Dancer. An MVP on the White Goodman, the Mighty Blow Blocksaurus. It's not that the dice rolls really matter a whole lot, but we can take a look. Seems about average on all sort of... The pass is bad. You only made 4, like 2 succeeds and 2 fails when it should be a... Like, that was a little unlucky, but everywhere else is pretty normal, I think. %50 on the pickup is not great. 25% of the stab isn't great either. Should have been more successes there, but there were only 4. Black dice were pretty good for Joe's, although these basically don't mean anything. Alright. So that is that for 9D. I'm going to pop up my title screen again so I don't spoil anything, because we can go take a look at the other match, the one from 9E. Anybody have any major opinions on this, honestly? So we have a couple options here. I've been told Chew Toys and Friendship is Massacre is a good game. One Cheese and Komodo Killers was a game that had playoff implications. For Komodo Killers in particular. The one I was honestly interested in is Knights of Windrip and CRBoyz Giant Stags. Because on the one hand, we've seen CRBoyz before and we just watched WElves, but we have not watched Bretonnians yet this season. And that's a stat freak Bretonnian team that I'm fairly interested in taking a look at. Funny and stupid, not good. All right. So do we want the playoff implication game, or do we want the game that I haven't looked at the Brett game. I have no idea if it's good. It might be totally and unreasonably silly. But I honestly just want to see the stat freak Bretonnian team play. So I am 100% down for that. So let me pop into the game here so I don't spoil anything for those of you that care about that. I know since some of you are in this division, you probably know the scores already, but we might as well take a look. Pop into the game here. Knights of Windrip, the Bretonnians. Recall that these guys are stat freaks. We've rolled a lot of good skills in the blitzers. We got another Wood Elf game. We've watched a lot of Wood Elf games, but that's just sort of the nature of these things sometimes. No offense to CRBoyz, because I believe we watched one of his games last time actually as well. This one isn't about you. This one is about the Bretonnians. I want to see the Bretonnians play. So it looks like the Wood Elves chose to go on offense first. The Knights of Windrip have picked up a Babe and a Wizard. Wizard is interesting. You don't have a whole lot you can do unless you happen to have some really good players to take advantage of that Wizard, such as this Agi 4 Blitzer. Like, look at this team. This is an Agi 4 Blitzer. This is a Strength Blitzer. Mighty Blow Blitzer. Do these Blitzers roll normals? This guy is passed. That's a normal. But like, double 6 plus Agi also doubles because Blitzers don't have Strength access. It's a little that's a little silly. On the other hand, we do have this guy for CRBoyz, the Movement 9 Agi 5 catcher. So I imagine CRBoyz elected to take the kickoff because he's just going to go right into his one-turn play. He rolled plus Agi. That's really good. We'll take a look at that in probably at the end of the week or the end of next week. But yeah, we saw the Vanity Pass right at the start just to get that 15 to 16 SPP right at the start. Yeah, instantly goes into this blitz. Finds the push. In we go. And you put another guy here. Chain push onto the catcher. And now the catcher is in range with one push. Oh dear. Still got to find the pass or the pickup. Fails the pickup. So there goes one of the 3 rerolls on the 1 turn. So 2+ handoff. Oh my gosh! Fails the 2+. 1-1-1. That did not work out. That did not work out for CRBoyz. He banked a lot of things on this 1 turn, and now he's got a lot of his good players stuck up in a corner. Like this Word Answer is about to get Mighty Blow hit. Yeah, greed reroll instantly. I accept that. That is not good luck for CRBoyz. Oh, that's so bad. Sets up for the 1 turn, like opts to go on offense first, sets up for the 1 turn, and then instantly has his Word Answer casualtied. He elects to Apo it, but that's the rest of this half without a Word Answer. And the Bretonnians are about to have this ball in their control because there's no way you're getting to this ball with all these players on it. The strength guy is not going to pick it up, and now you're going to have to try to strip ball away the block strength 4 guy. Oof. That was punished really hard. Like, so on the one hand, 1 turns are great. You'd go up 1-0. That's good. On the other hand, it can fail. And, you know, if you 1 turn every touchdown, or attempt to 1 turn every time you play, you know, you do two attempts per game within 15 games, you know, on average, something like this is going to happen. So once per season, you'd expect this to happen somewhere if you do this a lot. And it looks like it happened here. And, oh, man, do you ever get punished for it. The Wood Elves are so displeased with what just happened there. Because they're strip ball guys off the field. And so now they have they have the War Dancer, but he's AV6, so if he fails, he's going down. Oh, and then instantly double skulls. This is not CRBoyz' game so far. Sidestepping there means he can surf you. Elects not to, because if he puts 2 guys here, then he can just surf you. Finds the KO anyway. And this is threatening a surf next turn too on your super valuable catcher. Yeah, but we know I don't think it's a great idea to attempt to instantly 1 turn on turn 1. There's a chance that it fails, and if it fails, it's bad, as we've seen. You don't need to do it. It's not like it's do or die. But CRBoyz loves it. We've watched a few of CRBoyz' games, and man, does he ever 1 turn? He just pours on the 1 turns when he has the option to do so. So it's not unexpected. Blitzing onto the peasant who's here, presumably, I mean, to get him off the tree. Tackle fails. And suddenly things are looking really good for the Bretonnians right now. Who do they have a blitz on? Oh, you punch this guy. So they can either the Agi lineman or the War Dancer are both targets, and that's an armor 6 War Dancer. So I think you dump that Mighty Blow Blitzer onto that War Dancer all day, every day. You're gonna need to get an assist somewhere there though, because this is not doing it. I would punch that War Dancer, although at this point it doesn't look like he's going to. Setting up a sort of cage here. He only needs 1 push, though, is the thing, because he's got movement 9 and sprint. Yeah, elects to hit the Agi guy, which is also a reasonable option, because it's somebody on his cage, so it's not... It's like the safer play, but man, I would be so tempted to hit that War Dancer. Finds an injury, too. Things are not going well for the Wood Elves here. Maybe you will learn and not try to 1 turn every time in the future. I certainly think it's fun, don't get me wrong. I think that is by far the best. If you're having fun with it, go for it. And it's your team, you do what you want. But like, if you're trying to play 100% optimally, I don't know if the 1 turn on turn 1 was the best idea. I mean, I think as the Wood Elves here, you just sort of, like, that's uphill, and you don't have strip on that player. And if he fails, that's armor 6. Honestly, I think if I was the Wood Elves here, I would run away and just let the Bretonnians have 8 turns to score. Like, what are they going to do? Chase you around? especially if you have this one turner available. Right? They score on. You always have the chance of evening it up pretty easily with a one turner, and doing this is just you're basing up. You're giving away at least 4 blocks this turn when you're already down players, as WElves is pretty scary. This Ward Answer is also surfable. Where's the Mighty Blow? He's stuck up on this player. Step 1 is you gotta hit this guy. This guy's such a threat. Elects not to surf. I suppose that's the right play because this guy has or no, this was the wrestle piece. No, I would have considered surfing that Ward Answer and just not going forward for a turn. You have so many turns you can afford to just sit there. Use the strength 4 guy to get a 2 die on the guy sitting next to the ball carrier and surf the Ward Answer. I think would have been better. 4+ dodge. One's it into death floor. There's a lot of weirdness happening in this game. Yeah, he's just going to go for it with the wrestle piece. This is awful aggressive. I mean, it's uphill and it's wrestle, so it still has a chance, but once again, if you fail, man, this piece is so exposed. Even basing him up afterwards, like, I don't think that's a good idea. He's going to hit this guy, but if that fails, like, I would just run away. Like, this piece is so important. This is really scary. You can chain push the ball. You can chain push here if you want. Doesn't accomplish a whole lot. But once again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 easy blocks you're giving up when you have 7 players on the pitch. Doing this all without standing up as players. I would have probably... I would have, tried to stand up these guys first, maybe. You can threaten the surf on the Ward Answer if you want, because he's going to stand up and probably... He can probably just leap and go for the ball. But when the ball's in your strength 4 guy, you're not too worried about that. And you might as well threaten the surf if he doesn't... These guys haven't stood up in a while. This is awful aggressive on behalf of the WElves. I feel like maybe the fail on the 1 turn tilted him a little bit. He's trying to do anything to recover from it. He really wants to end this half 1-0, but you don't need to do that. As WElves, you're happy to go down 0-1 as long as you protect your key pieces. You can score at will, you know. If you protect your pieces, you can easily let him go up 1-0 and come back from it without too much of a problem. You could have gone for you should have just leapt there, right? Because this was a 4+ or a 3+ dodge. And it would have been it was a 3+ leap, I guess, which is the same either way, and a dodge has the reroll. So, never mind. It's even either way. Well, actually, the dodge is better because you have the built-in reroll. But failing it means you're not going to get surfed, but you are on the ground and stunned, and if I'm a Bretonian with 40k linemen, I'm considering fouling this. Yeah, sometimes I just say stuff without thinking about it, and then my brain catches up a second later, and I'm like, oh wait, what am I talking about? I get there eventually, just gotta give me a minute. Threatening the surf on the movement 9 catcher. Although he's Agi 5, so he's just going to dodge out without too much of a problem. In fact, he's probably just going to dodge out and try to blitz the ball. A pretty reasonable play from the Bretonnians here. I have a feeling that CRBoyz might have gotten a little bit tilted from the failed one turn, because I've seen him play better than this. Like, the Bretonnians are just taking advantage of that. Elect to score on turn 8, which makes sense, because this was the WElves drive, so you're not giving them the chance at one turning. Why? Don't use dodge? Well, okay. You just let him get surfed. Like, so, pro tips, you can choose whether or not you want to use dodge. On the one hand, yeah, this guy has Mighty Blow, and he's hitting your catcher who's armor 7, so really he's armor 6. But he has to make that armor 6 roll. If you just let him surf you, it goes right to injury, right? You just roll injury. You don't even have to roll armor first. So you could have elected to... Oh, you would have gotten surfed anyway. How does that... does surf take priority? Surf takes priority anyway. So it doesn't matter, right? I think the surf just happens anyway. He would have, so it doesn't. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Ignore that. Pretty sure it would have been a surf anyway. Like he would have been pushed off anyway. But I'm not sure if if you're knocked down and surfed, if it makes you roll the armor first. I think it just counts the surf over the knockdown, so it doesn't matter. I am not on my game right now. I don't think you do either. I don't know why I was thinking that. Like I said, I'll get there eventually. I'm not on my game right now. Also a little tilted apparently. I'm not sure from what. Maybe because there's just one of me. I don't know. This is not like he's still going for it. Gotta admire his tenacity. Leap. If you just get a push here, though, you push him into the end zone. That might have been worth it. I'm not going to rewind and look. That might have been worth it to roll extra, like an extra dodge to go from this angle. Because if you fail, you just make him score. If you do this way. Not that like you really have a great chance of stopping him from scoring. To be honest, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. That's true. I do not have Shadora to mock. I'll mock him. Well, the thing is, I can still mock him, and he can't defend himself, which is the best part. I am looking forward to that part. All right. So, well, you take your 4 free blocks here. You don't really care about the loner block. You take your 2 free blocks here, and then you score. Here is the first one. No armor break. And then, yeah, it makes sense to blitz with the Mighty Blow guy, especially since you have a 3-die. Only finds a push on the 3-die. No reroll, so you can't greet it. But you can get another shot. Unfortunately, not with the Mighty Blow and not with the 3-die. But it is still armor 6. So, armor breaking can occur. And then you score. And we go into your own half 1-0. As the Bretonnians, which they're certainly probably feeling good about, especially since they still have a wizard. And then we praise the sun. I love how the tree just walks off so slowly. Brrr. Both KOs back for the Brets. We have 1 on behalf of the WElves, or 2 on behalf of the WElves, but only 1 returns. They do have their strip ball ward answer back now because they appoed him in the first half out of that injury. So at the very least, you do have a better shot now as CRBoyz of popping that ball free because you have that strip ball available, and there is no sure hands on behalf of the Bretonnians anywhere. So this isn't too bad. That's why I mean, you didn't get punished too bad because you only lost 2 players really from it. But that's really why I would have considered, like, by the time you got around to turn 6, just running away and letting them score. They're not going to chase you down. at least not very well. And when your strip ball guy is coming back guaranteed next half, as long as you can get a pretty easy shot at the ball, pretty easy time removing it because that's strip ball, and then you can probably pretty easily make it 1-1. And worst case, if he scores, since it's his drive, you can do your one turn. And we've all seen how well, and CRBoyz can one turn really easily. I mean, it failed the first time, but it's like a one push, one turn. It's pretty easy, honestly, for him to do so. Let's see. Archangel, friend that wants to join REBBL. What's the difference between minors and the college league? Okay, so college league is like the brand new entry league, sort of. It's designed around newbies, people who haven't really played Blood Bowl a whole lot before. Whether that ranges from like, I played a couple times tabletop with my friends to like I tried one league and I'm not very good. All the way up to, like I played Blood Bowl 1 like 10 years ago and I haven't played Blood Bowl 2 yet. It's generally designed around rookies, like people who have very little Blood Bowl experience. A couple people sneak through here and there who have probably more than they say, or like it's debatable whether they have a little enough experience to do college. It's generally a honor system thing. We kind of rely on the people to say how much experience they have, maybe play a game if it's questionable with them to see what they're like. It's designed around rookies, people who haven't played a whole lot, to be playing against people who are also with their own skill level. And we generally try to hook them up with experienced REBBL coaches, or other people who volunteer to be my mentors. Get them trained up, teach them the basics, whether that just be how the game works, up to what skill up should I take, up to how does positioning work, safe moves first. Like there's a range of skills in college from like has no idea what they're doing like at all the way up to understands the basics, but would probably get demolished in REBBL. Minors is essentially the follow-up league to college. If you play a season of college and you feel like you are not ready yet to go to the major leagues, you can take the team you played in college and put it in minors. Or you can start a brand new team in minors. You can start a fresh team. Just be aware that most teams you play will probably not be fresh. It's very rare that people will start in minors. I think it has happened if we think that they're too experienced for college, but they don't really feel confident enough to go to like REBBL. We'll put them in minors, but it's very uncommon. It's fairly common for people to start in college and then just immediately jump up to REBBL. We'll have and then to be fair, college league is also a lot of people who are new, haven't played before. We tend to get a lot of dropouts because people discover the game isn't for them. So the minors league is generally a lot smaller than the college league. It's in our case, the season that I played in the minors was essentially I really liked the people I played against, and we all kind of made a little pact together to go to the minors so that we could still hang out and be in a community before kind of vanishing into the greater REBBL community. But it's essentially, if he's brand new, put him in college. If he's experienced at all, probably will just end up in REBBL. It's very unlikely that you jump straight to minors from nowhere. It's a long story short, but it's possible if you're not confident enough in your skills for REBBL, but we think you're probably too experienced for college. Anyway, back to this game. Yeah, this Brett team is going to be terrifying. Right now, like with all these skills and these doubles and stuff, in like 2 or 3 levels on each of these blitzers, which is going to happen because all your skills go into those blitzers. This is going to be a good Brett team next season, I think. No, the bottoms of REBBL aren't very gnarly, and a lot of this isn't meant to be like an insult to anybody or anything, but a lot of the mentors or a lot of the more experienced coaches that are involved in running REBBL often say like, the coaches that come out of the minors leagues or come out of the college league are arguably as good, if not better, than some of the lower divisions of REBBL. The point is we take pride in that. We take pride in the fact that we take people who have barely played games at all and throw them into get them trained up enough that they're capable of competing with people who have played for a while. Right? It's kind of the idea. I mean, look at me. I'm from REBBL. I played in college, then I played in minors, and I wouldn't say I'm the best coach or anything, but I don't do too bad. And now I'm doing this casting stuff that people seem to care about. So there you go. There's another failed pass, but this time the pass reroll works instead of failing. Although I think it was the catch one that failed before. No, it was the pass. Very Brett-like. Pass into handoff. I'm not sure why you did that, honestly. You could have just passed to this guy. He has catch as well. I mean, this was a 2+ rerollable, and then into a 3+ rerollable, but you could have just done a 3+ rerollable. Yeah, then in college is probably a good fit for him, Archangel. Send him our way. The current league college signups are actually open. Let me find it for you. I will link it. This is this is what college league is, and here's the sign up sheet for it. You want to send that to your friend, or point him towards the REBBL Discord. We do have a separate Discord for REBBL. Lots of good folks in there. And point him that way too, and we'll get him started. Signups are open now, but college playoffs are in round of 8. And we normally sync college and we normally sync REBBL and REL, or REBBL and REBBL. So the next season won't start for like 6 weeks or so, probably, because we generally wait until the REBBL playoffs are over. But until then, we can get him started and maybe put him in the spin league, find him a mentor, that kind of stuff. This is a nice easy hit on this word answer. What's his name? I mean, I can just look at the document. Chain pushing his own ball carrier more forward, but this word answer just will not go down. So many hits on these word answers. Ben. Yeah, there is a Ben Phil 99 signed up. Plans on coaching Lizards is in UTC -5. He is currently signed up. So it'll be a while before we get started, but college sounds like the place for him. We still have we have playoffs to go in college. We generally we sync minors with college because that makes sense, and then we sync minors with REBBL because the minors champion, the minors playoff champion, gets a spot in REBBL playoffs. So we need to finish before REBBL playoffs start. So, and REBBL is 13 weeks, REBBL is 9 weeks. So that gives us 4 weeks to do the playoffs. So they generally started around the same time. There goes a reroll. Down to 1 reroll on turn 10. I think he only had... So that's a little scary. But is going for the blitz again. Just super aggressive on these Wood Elves here. Leaps without the reroll. I know you didn't want to utilize that... I know you didn't want to waste that blitz, but... I would have considered going from here. Like, I would have considered going from here. Like, it was going to be uphill if you did it this way, but I'd rather take the uphill block than the leap into the regular block. Oh, no! And your Apo's gone. I mean, armor 6, something was going to happen to him eventually, but that is a dead ward answer. Oof. That is not nice. Poor CRBoyz, man. This game is not going his way. I feel like he's doing things that he probably shouldn't, honestly, but they're not... This is not probably helping his mood. Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, that's fine. This ward answer needed to get fired eventually. He only had 1 level, and ward answers are the best player who fresh out of the box anyway, so it doesn't matter too much, honestly. It means he has to buy a new one, and if he doesn't have the money for it, that could be rough if he has to play his next game with one War Dancer. But he was going to get fired anyway. He was going to get fired at some point. And Bretonnians doing Bretonnian things, having peasants stomp on people. Witness the violence inherent in the system! Oh, I have Blade Flings. Uphill on the tree. Bonk. You have blocks, so it's probably okay, but that's pretty scary. I don't like uphilling against anything that has Mighty Blow. Especially when you're only armor 7. But the Bretonnians are up players, so it doesn't matter too much if they lose a peasant. Bretonnians still have a wizard too, man. This is terrifying for the WElves. Like, this game has not gone really in CRBoyz' favor, but I feel like there are certain things he could have done that would have made it easier. Like, I think he tilted a little bit, and then has been making, like, really aggressive plays to try to come back from it ever since. And I don't think he really necessarily needed to, right? Ah, Skull. Like, he went for a 2-die uphill there, but this is a guy who doesn't have block, he doesn't have tackle, and he doesn't have strip ball. Like, that was not going to work. Not that this guy has dodge, but he has block. And then, after already using the reroll and the dodge, attempting the leap when you could have just gone for a blitz here. It's not like it would have changed. Like, I think there's things that I think he's making suboptimal plays. The last game I played as a halfling team was against a human team in the Huge Jack Memorial Cup at like 3 in the morning after having played 7 games, like, or 8 games in a row because it was the finals, in a game where I actually had to win instead of just throw halflings at people, because in the finals it was you actually have to win the game instead of just get big guy star points. So that didn't go very well for me either because I had no idea how to play. It was like 3 in the morning. I'd played a whole bunch of games. None of those games my strategy had revolved around actually winning, and I was really drunk, so I had no chance of winning that game. I know, like, it's the... I really feel like this is CRBoyz being a little bit tilted, honestly. Because there's things... He's making some plays that are kind of weird. And we know he's capable of better than this. Blitz, on to take, like... And then he's not getting lucky on thing... Like, he's rolling a lot of 1s, but a lot of the things are things that he shouldn't have rolled, right? He just tried to blitz on a tree, right? And 1 in 6 times... you expect that to fail. It just happened to fail this time, which makes it feel extra bad because he's done a lot of things that normally would work, but like sometimes punish you, and he's getting all the punishes. Like, he just keeps getting punished for plays, and it's sad to see. Like, unfortunately they have, like, it's not optimal play to do the things that have a chance of failing and making it bad, but sometimes when they... Most of the time, when it's a 5 and 6 to work, it's a 5 and 6 to work. And then a bunch of the times he's getting those 1 and 6s, and it just probably doesn't feel really good for him. And I feel like it's tilting him, honestly. In the finals, I was playing a human team. I played a Skaven team with a Claw Rat Ogre in the group stages, and I won that game because I pitch cleared the Skaven, and I KO'd the Rat Ogre with Claw by throwing a halfling at it. That was brilliant. Well, instant go for it failure on behalf of the Bretonnians. Dodge. I'm not sure what that was for. I mean, I think like it's literally the only standing elf, so he went for a blitz there, but he could have just blocked with like the Agi guy or something. And you'd rather get SPP on the blitzers over the peasants anyway. Bretonnians just, I feel like this is going to be not particularly exciting for the rest of the game, so I won't pause when I talk about stuff now. I feel like it's just the elves going to be on the floor and the Bretonnians stomping on them occasionally. Yeah, I pitch cleared a Skaven team as halflings, yes. To be fair, it was a Skaven team that was like 13 or 1400 TV, and my halfling team was 500 TV. So I had 3 treemen because I had Deep Root, and then I had Morgenthorg, and I just ran around and punched Skaven until they all left. I mean, it was basically 5 big guys, or 4 big guys versus a Skaven team. The halflings just weren't really there. Just 4 big guys running around punching a bunch of Skaven until they died. Deeproot is so good. Like, Deeproot is the only reason to play halflings. Deeproot and the Master Chef are the only reasons to play halflings. A tree without take root and with block and strength 7, you can 3-die any normal player, like any strength 3 player in the game by yourself with 0 assists. I basically 2 GFI blitzed with him every turn. It's like, I was like, screw it. I mean, A, it's huge Jackman, who cares? B, it's halflings, who cares? C, my whole strategy is to just hurt people, and I don't really care about winning. So, like, every turn, it was just like, all right, double GFI blitz with Deeproot, here we go. And, like, just kept working. It was great. Turns out that I do well when I just stop giving a shit about winning. Death Floor does a thing on the natural one-turner. Or almost natural one-turner. So that's unfortunate. But like I said, it's just, you know, elves that are going to be on the floor. I really think this is CRBoyz tilting a little bit after failing the one turn. And then things keep not going as well. Like, it's a weird snowball. I think he tilted a bit because of the one turn failure, which caused him to start making a few suboptimal plays. And then those failed because they were suboptimal. And that just made it worse, and it kind of shame spiraled down. Yeah, exactly. They're so much fun. I would highly recommend the one-day tournaments, especially since they have really stupid rules. I set an alarm and woke up at 2:30 a.m. to play in the last Chaos Cup because I wanted to give it a shot. Totally worth it. It was a lot of fun. Just greed. I was going to say, I'm surprised you didn't attempt to surf this guy and you went for this blitz, but he just went for the, like, attrition lightning bolt on the loner player in the touchdown line. At this point, you might as well. I mean, you can. Who cares? You're gonna win anyway. The Cripple Cup I haven't tried yet, but I'm looking for it. It should be the next one if I recall correctly, because we did Chaos Cup and then we did Huge Jackman. So I expect that one to be next. Also, this is gonna be a really long video. We're like normally almost done by now, or like within half an hour of now. But I kept pausing and talking about stuff instead of just bantering around with Shadora like we normally do, because if there's only me, all I can really do is talk about the game. So I've been focusing on talking about the game, in which case I want to pause and talk about stuff. Whereas with Shadora, we just kind of yell at each other, and eventually the game's over. Dwarves were banned in the Cripple Cup, yeah. All right, so that's right there is part of the reason why I wanted to see this game, is that CRBoyz has been doing well this season. The Brets have been doing less than well, and they managed to win 2-0. So when I saw that score, I was like, I kind of want to check out what these Brets did. And the answer was, I think CRBoyz just got a little bit tilted. And that happens. It happens to the best of us. Setting up, not giving up. Sets up for the one turn. This isn't your movement 9 guy, but he's going to set up for it anyway. Never give up, never surrender. I like the attitude. All right, here's the first push. I've already spoiled this match. I said it ended 2-0, so now we get to see that it doesn't work. So somehow this doesn't work because I've already spoiled it, but let's find out. Fails the pickup. There you go. One's on the 2+ pickup. Like that was just an unlucky. Like there's a couple unlucky things that happened. Just MVP on the treatment is kind of funny. A couple unlucky things that happened for CRBoyz, and then it just kind of shame spiraled from there, I think, is what happened to him. Like, he never had control of the ball, ever. His dice were not particularly good. Failed, like, 2 of 3 pickups, and your elves, you know, only got 60% of dodges in your elves. Leaps are about average. Failed every single catch as elves. Like, the dice weren't great, but in particular there were certain like important rolls a lot of those ones happened on. So well played by Knights of Windrip, and unfortunate on behalf of the CRBoyz. It's difficult to call that 100% a dicing, because I feel like there's some things that you could have done a bit better, and maybe you tilted a little bit after the first failure. But it would also be a lie to say that the dice did not hurt you there. So that's that. Let's go look at the results from Division 90 and 90. We're not going to talk about the teams this week because we did last week. But we will probably be back next week, and we'll take a look at the teams then after we've figured out who the winner from each of the divisions is going to be. It'll be shorter because we won't have any predictions to do or anything, but next week we can come in, take a look at how all the teams finished up at the end of the season, what their teams look like, and we can take a look at that next week. Like there was a lot of ones. There's a lot of ones on both sides. So 90, because of that tie, we have foul targets at 9-2-1, and we have the AverageRiceJoes at 7-5-0. So really, this is 9-2-1 and 8-2-0, because 3 draws is basically a win. So AverageRiceJoes are 3 points behind foul targets currently. So the AverageRiceJoes have to win their next game, and the WElves have to lose their next game for them to even tie. And on top of that, the tiebreak is done by what am I trying to say? Tiebreak is done by touchdown differential. So if we take a look at their touchdown differential, we get 15 on behalf of Jeff and 10 on behalf of Average Rice. So not only does Average Rice have to win and Jeff have to lose, they have to win and lose by 6 touchdowns, essentially. So, like, you know, Jeff is going to have to lose 3-0 and Average Rice is going to have to win 3-0 for Average Rice to overtake Jeff for the playoff spot. So right now, and that's, I think, pretty unlikely, honestly. That's 3-0 loss and a 3-0 win, 6 touchdown swing is going to be, you know, even if Jeff loses, I doubt he would lose 3-0, and I doubt Average Rice would win 6-0 or 3-0. It's gonna be rough for him to take it, but you know, can't count it out. It is not impossible. Nothing is impossible. So it's gonna be one of these two teams. I imagine it's Jeff. Let's take a look at the results from that week. So we had Drats Rats, and here goes nothing. So this is the Goblins and the Rats. We predicted the Goblins were gonna win because we thought it would be funny, mostly. And, you know, it turns out that being funny instead of trying to be right doesn't work all the time. So the Rats won that 2-0. Wifey again picks up MVP. So this is a 5 MVP from 14 match Fnatic, which is kind of funny. Zowie, the Gutter Runner, picks up MVP. 2-0 for the Rats. A lot of blocks, not that many blocks, 3 KOs, 9 KOs, yeah. Goblins did a goblin thing, got a lot of blocks off, did a lot, but none of them were permanent, right? They got 9 KOs, no injuries or no kills, so the Rats probably went into a drive mostly fresh after they managed to score quickly and remove some of the Goblin secret weapons and all that good stuff. So that's going to ruin the game for the Goblins if you lose your secret weapons without doing a whole lot with them. So victory to the Rats. A little bit SPP there. Take dice quickly. Goblins had pretty bad block dice, honestly. So did the Rats, but they didn't really make that many, so it's probably within average. Pretty normal D6. Las Vegas Lizard Gizzards 2-0'd the Cheeky Elves. We predicted the High Elves were going to win this, and they lost. So far, we're really bad. We have failed everything this week, as of yet. I think this is our worst week so far, and we're only 2 teams into it. 2-0 for the Lizards. Looks like another game where the Elves just couldn't get anything done. 0% ball possession, 7 KOs, 2 injuries, 1 kill. Like, I think the Elves just got beaten to death by... Wait. Did I just say something incorrect? No, the Lizards won. Although I have written down here that we predicted the High Elves to win. So I guess that's what we did last week. A lot of the Lizards just beat up the High Elves, which I would imagine is why they won 2-0. A lot of SPP on behalf of the Lizards. Pretty good D6. Reasonable block dice. Reasonable block dice. Reasonable spread anyway. Yeah, I feel like this was just a well-played attrition game on behalf of the Lizards. Just did a lot of punches and it worked out. This was an admin win, so we won't take a look at that. We watched this game, so we don't need to take a look at that. The Redeemed Dark Elves and Royalton Circus. Oh, to be fair, so let me, I guess, we predicted that this would be a Wood Elf win, and it was a tie, so well played by AverageRiceJoes. We just watched that game, so we saw what happened. I guess, to be fair, we were like something like a 1 in 9 or 1 in 36 away from being right there because of that failed pass. Dark Elves versus Kislev. We picked Dark Elves, and we were wrong again. So we've been wrong 100% of the games in 90. We've been pretty good every other week, so you've got to give us like this one break, I guess. Come on, don't put it too hard. I'll have to message Shador after this and tell him that we were wrong on every match. 3-1 for Royalton Circus. MVP on a lineman. MVP on a lineman that levels him, but he's moving 5, so that's probably not a lineman you want to keep around for too long. Let's see. 2 passes. 41 blocks, 49 blocks, 3 KOs, 3 KOs, 3 injuries. So that probably tells the story a little bit there. Ball flipped back and forth between the two, like, you know, speedy teams, but one team was able to sort of out-injure the other one, and that resulted in them going ahead, presumably with a bit of an advantage somewhere. I'm always curious to take a look at leaps. 5 leaps, succeeded all of them, 100%. You'd expect one of those to fail. Did not. Didn't even need to use reroll on them. Thwart Shadowing. That's a fun roll. You don't see that very often. That's what the reroll name. So when you have to roll dice, this is a weird thing to me. When you roll, yeah, the Kislev team is doing well, certainly. When you roll tentacles, it's just called tentacles. It's not called thwart tentacles, even though you're rolling against the strength of another player. You're trying to thwart the but this is called thwart shadowing when you're rolling against the movement of another player to see if you can avoid the shadow. It seems to me that they should be the same thing. Like, it just should be shadowing, but it's thwart shadowing, I guess, which is kind of interesting to me that it's named this way. Because it's not like the Dark Elves roll shadowing. They don't. The Kislev rolled thwart shadowing, which is such a weird thing. But, you know, there you go. Voodoo and Union United. This was a bye for the Union United. Voodoo has dropped out, as we've talked about before. And bye week versus bye week results in bye week ties. So, yep, we were wrong on 100% of our games, other than the ones that were buys. So that's a first, and I kind of feel bad about it. So sorry for looking like an idiot in 90. Let's just move on to 90 and forget that ever happened, shall we? Yeah, the Kislev team is certainly doing good things. They started off with a lot of admin losses, but they've done well ever since. If we take a, I want to find them real. Oh, that was too far back. Also too far back. I want to look at how the Kislev results have been. One. They've basically won all their games. Yeah, they've won all their games since they've joined, essentially. Except for this one, but they've done pretty well the last few games. Let's take a look at the predictions for 9D. Drats Rats and Union United. IRL college finals. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, that's a thing that sometimes happens to people. I am glad I am done with that. I've not had to do a test in a while. But I remember doing those not too long ago. ProElves. So we've got Skaven and ProElves. There's a lot of admins calls here. We've only got 3 predictions to make. Skaven and ProElves. So, or no, not ProElves. Yeah, ProElves. That's ProElves, right? Union United is ProElves. I'm not being silly here. Yeah, Elven Union. They're ProElves. It's quick draw. And Drats Rats. Let's see. So ProElves definitely have the tools to deal with Skaven. We got some tackle here. Got a lot of movement. We got some pending level ups. 1480, and then we've got 1200 Drats Rats. Doesn't have the Mighty Blow yet. He's only got 1, and he's armor value 7, so that's a big target for the Blitzers. This is going to be difficult. The Mighty Blow is going to be difficult to actually remove Elves. I think the Pro Elves have the tools to do this, so I'm going to go with the Pro Elves. Yeah, it's unfortunate timing. They don't line up perfectly this time, but they're not the same length, so eventually they'll kind of overlap at some point. This is a Kislev Bye week. Kislev Bye. We've got AverageRiceJoes getting a bye against the Ladder Climbers. So this is a Lizard Bye. So many dropouts. Ladder Climbers were a replacement too, and then they dropped out on top of that, which is kind of unfortunate. Oh, so that's a bye. So that changes what we were thinking about this. I didn't pay attention to the fact that he had a bye. So he's going to go to 8-5 and 0, which is basically 9-2 and 0. So Jeff needs to lose, and Jeff needs to lose 6-0 or 5-0 because this is a guaranteed 1-0 win for Average Rice. So the only way that Average Rice goes to the playoffs is if Jeff and the foul targets lose their game 5-0. So somehow I don't think that's going to happen. You have to lose by 5 to not go in. Yeah. So somehow I don't think the game will end up 5-0 because you're playing Goblins. So then we have a Armor Furnace versus Voodoo. That's a Chaos Bye. We've got Redeemed Dark Elves and the Cheeky Elves. This is we're gonna have an elf off here. We've got Moya and the Redeemed Dark Elves, and we've got the Cheeky Elves, who are High Elves, if I recall correctly. Close in the table, right next to each other, 6-2 and 4, 6-2 and 4. So this is like the mid-table elf off, so we can see which middle tier elf is the most average. Yeah, like you don't even need to win. You just need to not lose by 5. So like you don't play too aggressively, I guess. Try to save your players, stay away from those stay away from those secret weapons so that you don't lose anybody important, right? If it comes down to potentially having a shot at losing somebody important or letting them score, just let them score. Because you need to lose by 5 to not go to the playoffs. I mean, obviously win if you can. It's fun to win, and it's absolutely guaranteed. I am not an admin of REL 9D, so I'm not 1,000,000% sure that that's exactly how it works, but I'm like 90% sure that it's touchdown differential first, in which case you need to lose by 5. Redeemed Dark Elves and Cheeky Elves. So we've got the Redeemed Dark Elves, our favorite Dark Elf team with Assassins who, oh my god, they have no players left. They didn't lose players in this game, did they? No. I don't know what happened there, but they have 0 players left. At least to the good, they have no linemen, and they have $0. So I'm not entirely sure what happened here, but they have no team. Wow. Well, they've got a Frenzy, Blitzer, one Assassin. There used to be two. Like, so he's got, like, the important players alive, I guess. Like, the Blitzers and the Witch and the Assassin. I don't know what happened to his money, though. Yeah, they have a kind of budget Witch, which is kind of funny. Cheeky Elves actually has a team, and they have, you know, some good level ups and stuff. I think I want to give this to the Cheeky Elves then, considering the Dark Elves just don't have a team. Okay, and then we have... Got to look at the right week. We got foul targets, and here goes nothing. So that is Jeff's Wood Elves versus the Goblins. So these Goblins have been doing work, and it's kind of funny how well they've been doing, especially since like all their MVPs keep going on the Fnatic. But I mean, this is Jeff, who's won the majority of his games, has played pretty well this season, and it's Goblins. I've got to give this to the Wood Elves. On the other hand, like, there is the argument for saying the Wood Elves don't really need to win this; they just need to not lose by 5. So, like, maybe they go play for the tie, or they don't necessarily play for the win; they play safe. In which case, you know, they might lose, and I might look wrong. But like, if I didn't know that, I would predict the Wood Elves. So I'm gonna have to give this to the Wood Elves. And then we've got the Buffkit Bills and the Las Vegas Lizard Gizzards. So this is a Lizard Bye. So there's not a whole lot of prediction to do here. But there we go. Let's move on to 9E, forgetting that we were really bad at predictions there. So, leaderboard. This is what we look like right now. A lot closer than 90, although it's kind of between Komodo Kills and Desnot Knockers. So the Desnot Knockers are actually 9-3 and 0 because they are getting a bye this week that has not been processed. And they are going to get a bye next week because they happen to have byes at the end. So unfortunate for Hogstand, she's just going to miss 2 games 2 weeks in a row of practicing Blood Bowl. And then if he makes it to the playoffs, he'll get dumped into the playoffs so that having played that team for 2 weeks, which is really unfortunate. But lower divisions happen, unfortunately. It happens a lot less frequently in the upper divisions. Lower divisions tend to be fresh teams. People, if they lose a couple games right away, they'll drop out because their team isn't developing the way they want. Or it's often where they put new coaches. Sometimes new coaches decide it's not the game for them or whatever, and they drop out. So it's been unfortunate with how many there have been in 90 and 9D, honestly. But, I mean, there were like 3 fill-in teams in here, and we still have bye weeks. So that's unfortunate, but, you know, sometimes it happens. So Hogstench is going to finish at 33 points with a touchdown differential of, I think, 14, because I think the admin wins are 1-0. Let me see. There's one... It's going to be one previous. Yeah, they're 1-0. So he will finish at a touchdown differential of 14. And Volpez is currently at a touchdown differential... Volpez and the Komodo Kills is currently at a touchdown differential of 15. So as long as Volpez wins his last game, it doesn't matter how much he wins at bye, he'll be tied with the Snot Knockers and then have a higher touchdown differential and therefore go to the playoffs. So this is between both Volpez and Hogstench. But it's all on Volpez at this point. There's nothing like Hogstench gets a guaranteed win next week, so there's nothing. Volpez can't hope that Hogstench loses or anything like we're seeing in 9D. He's just got a straight up win. It doesn't matter how much he wins by, as long as he straight up wins, he advances. But both of these teams have done really well. I mean, look at these records: 9-3-0, 9-3-0. He's going to finish at 10-3-0, which is an incredible record. But you know, some of them are buys, but still 0 losses is something to be proud of for both Volpez and Hogstench. So let's see what happened this week. Warp Firestalkers and the Negaron Nut Punchers continuing our streak of being wrong about fucking everything. We predicted the Dark Elves would win this, and they lost 3-1. So there you go. 7 armor breaks, 5 armor breaks, 3 KOs, 1 injury on behalf of the Negro Nut Punchers, 1 KO and 1 injury on behalf of the Warpfire Stalkers. So this isn't like Claw Mighty Blow doing a thing or anything like that. It's looks like it's just straight up potentially better play. Not particularly bad dice, really. Catches aren't, what you'd expect, but we also don't know the situation. Some of those could have been really scary catches in tackle zones or whatever. And everything else looks fairly normal, honestly. I feel like this might have just been good play on behalf of the Warpfire Stalkers. There's one landing, so there was a thrown teammate. That's a lot of succeeded going for it, so that's above average. Pretty normal most other places. Wake up after KO is bad. Impact of the bomb, so there's a bombardier involved as well. I kind of wish we watched this game. This could have been silly. Maybe I'll watch it later anyway. I mean, I don't have anything else to do. I can officially end the stream. If you guys want to hang out, maybe I'll just go through that game really quickly. I want to see the Goblins do a thing. Or the Underworld do a thing. Liverpool gets a bye week against bye week, so correct there. Finally, we get to be right in that Archangel's Will played Khemri. We predicted a win for the Archangel's Will. So we are 1 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so far. 1 for 6. We're like a catch on a Saurus. So this is 2-1 for Archangel's Will. MVP on a Tomb Guardian is super nice because the Broken Boys were in rough shape with their Tomb Guardians. But this is a hard matchup for... I imagine the Blitzraws did work, but if the Blitzraws went out, then it's a hard matchup for the Broken Boys. The Blitzraws were the super key pieces here. 4 KOs, 3 injuries. Khemri doing Khemri things, but, not able to actually score. WElves doing WElves things, 18% ball possession. They picked up the ball, they scored. They went back, and then they handed it back to the Khemri, and they said, here you go, now you try to pick it up. And then took advantage of the low agi and that kind of stuff on the Khemri side. Thanks, Archangel. I appreciate that. Decent amount of SPP on both sides here. Archangel's Will getting 41 6s and 28 1s. It's a lot of dice, and that is a lot of 6s. Looks like it's mostly average on things, though. Never failed to take root, which is above average. Fireball. I like the fireball. Why did you fireball against Khemri? I cannot think of... Or no, that's Khemri fireballing against you, because you roll the dice, right? I don't know. The dice logs are dumb. I don't like dice logs. I'm not sure if that's them firing you, fireballing you, or you fireballing them. If it's you fireballing them, dear God, that's so bad. They fireballed you. Okay, so that's slightly more excusable. Although I don't know if I would have fireballed 3 WElves players. That just doesn't seem good. I'd be lying if I said I haven't fireballed WElves. But unless those 3 players are like catcher, catcher, ward answer, or ward answer, ward answer, catcher, or something, that's almost never worth it. Broken Boys. Let's see. No catches, but that's not exactly likely. They made all their pickups, which is funny. But that they also have the plus agi throw raw, so that's not that unlikely. Failed all the regens. No good. Didn't ever wake up a player. Well, that probably does not help in explaining the results of the game. Yeah, so there you go. I was mostly right in that it's not worth it unless it's 2 word answers and like a super catcher. And even then it's debatable because that's not even likely to remove, based on the dice, 3 players, armor 7, you're not even likely, you're not above 50, you're below 50% chance to even remove 1 player. So it's probably not worth it. If you're really lucky, it's super good, but I feel like the lightning bolt is potentially more valuable there. Although the Khemri have such a hard time taking advantage of lightning bolts, because even if you knock the ball free, you need to pick it up somehow. But it's potentially good to stop a score sometimes. Like, I think the lightning bolt could probably get more value there unless you can get some sort of super fireball. Anyway, I don't know the circumstances of the game, so it's hard to say if it's super good or super bad. But in general, fireballing is not the best plan. Chew Toys and Friendship is Massacre is 1-1. I don't remember if this is one last week where we were like humming and hawing about whether it would be a tie or not, and then like we just kind of had to pick a team. I feel like it was. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember very well. But we predicted Undead would win. And in sort of standard morally fashion, we predicted him to do a thing, and then he decided not to do it just to make me look stupid. Whether you blame that on us or you can blame it on morally, I don't know. I think morally blames it on us, and we can blame it on morally, and then we can have a sort of mutual hatred. Oh, he forgot the whiz all game. Oh, that's so bad. That's really unfortunate. MVP on a mummy is nice, because you're now just one Kaz away from leveling, and that's already a good mummy. MVP on a zombie doesn't matter. 3 KOs, 5 KOs, 2 injuries. So a lot more injuries on behalf of the Undead, which I kind of expected, especially since the Wolves are out. But I feel like, Chew Toys managed to sneak in a cheeky little score somewhere, and then Friendship is Massacre couldn't break the tie, as it were. Block dice. Not great block dice for Chew Toys, honestly. Not great block dice for Friendship is Massacre either. Oh, I know the feeling. When all the injuries and KOs come like right at the end, once it doesn't matter anymore. You're like, oh, now the armor works. Okay, great. Or now the armor fails. Great. Now that it doesn't matter anymore. So a hard-fought game, I guess. A lot of sort of grindy on both halves. No one able to really get anything done. Ends up 1-1. Snot Knockas will get a bye there, as we've discussed. Komodo Killers and One Cheese. So we predicted that the Lizards would win this, and we were right. Boom. 2 for 8. That's 1/4. Thrower gets MVP and levels up. So that's the thing. I don't even know what you take as a level on a Skaven thrower. Accurate, if you're actually passing with him. Hope for doubles and get like, I don't know, big hand or something. Extra arms. Oh, big hand. There you go. Nailed it. MVP for Skink. Skink. This Skink just hopes for doubles, or else he's probably getting fired because there's not much else you want other than sidestep and diving tackle. 2-1 for the Komodo Killers. 6 KOs, 2 injuries, 1 injury on behalf of One Cheese. Kind of goes the way we expected in that the Skinks are fast enough to keep up with the rats. The diving tackle is going to do a thing, and there's going to be a lot of punching, and the rats are going to go down and not going to be able to stand on their feet. I nailed it too. I was like, what do you take as a level on the thrower? And then he gets big hand, which is exactly what I suggested. That's really cool, because now he can do some. I mean, it's not quite big hand on like a gutter runner or something, but that's still, you ignore tackle zones. So no matter what, that's a 1 in 9. Like it's an 8 in 9 chance to pick up the ball regardless of how many tackle zones it's in. And then you just do a little pass or a handoff or whatever to a gutter runner, and then the gutter runner's in space. So that's really cool. If you could grab extra arms or like plus agi or something, if you happen to roll another double or a plus agi, that's such a scary like ball retrieval tool. Sometimes you might have to. You also probably want to pick up dodge somewhere, which is also another double because Skaven throwers. If you're gonna do that, because he's probably gonna have to dodge into those tackle zones to pick it up. Like, it's really cool though. Plus, the big hand looks fun. Look how big that hand is. Anyway, diving tackle. I figured that would do a thing. Diving tackle is pretty scary, especially against Skaven. And I mean, block dice are fine. There's very few of them, so it's hard to say too much about them. Oh, that's really bad. Kono Kill's got 31 skulls and 15 POWs. They rolled more skulls than POWs and stumbles combined. Look at this. Oh, that's all players. Never mind. Sorry. Oh, wait, no. That's right. That is Komodo Killers. I was like, that can't be right. Nope, that's right. That's so many skulls. Holy crap. Dub skull, reroll dub skull. Wow. Okay, so that's a quad skull. Look at all these skulls. Dub skull, reroll both down. That's so dumb. I can't believe... I didn't believe that was one team's results for a second. I was like, no, that can't just be the Komodo Killers. Wow. Those are some bad block dice, man. At least Komodo Killers pulled off the win despite those block dice. Unfortunate for one cheese. But you've got the Enrex Longbone that you couldn't take advantage of the poor dice. But man, now you got that spicy big hand thrower. That's awesome. Super fun. I love mutations. They're so fun. Knights of Windrip and CRBoyz Giant Stags. We saw that game. I feel like it was just sort of a tilty nonsense on behalf of CRBoyz, unfortunately. We saw the results of that. I totally forgot to do predictions. I didn't do predictions for 9D. So we'll have to go back and do that. We'll do 9E first, and then we'll go back and do 9D. We've seen the leaderboard, so we know what that looks like. I need to... I'm going to have to also write this down, so excuse my typing, because there's only one of me. Normally Shadowar will write them while I talk, but now I've got to do everything on my own, because that loser isn't here. Alright, well, Warpfire Stalkers get a bye, so it is Underworld Bye. We get Friendship is Massacre and Komodo Killers. Oh, God. The implications of that just struck me. So whenever I predict anything for morally, it's wrong. No matter what I predict, it's opposite. And Komodo Killers have to win this to move on. To have a chance. So, like, on the one hand, I want to see the spicy Komodo Killers come back. On the other hand, if I predict Komodo Killers, Friendship is Massacre is just going to win. Because that's how this works. No matter who I predict for morally gets the opposite result. So, what do I even say there? Let's see. I can just predict they tie, and then no matter what, I get to be wrong. Oops, did not mean to back out. Jeez. Okay. Gotta write this down. I think this is a do or die match. The Komodo Killers, they're gonna pull out all the stops to try to win this because they need to win this to go to playoffs. So I think I'm gonna predict the Lizards on this one, and therefore morally is gonna win. But I think that the Komodo Killers are gonna throw everything they have at this game because they need a win to make it playoffs. So I'm gonna predict the Komodo Killers for this one. We've got the Broken Boys and CRBoyz Giant Stags. Khemri versus WElves. So Khemri have been playing well. They've got a couple scary Blitz Raws at this point. We just saw them lose against WElves. Maybe they'll have a better shot at know how to do it a bit better this time. CRBoyz we just saw tilted a little bit. Although I feel like with how CRBoyz is like... Oh, he's going to be down a Ward Answer, though. That's a good question. So he's going to be down a Ward Answer, but it's not the Strip Ball Ward Answer. But the Strip Ball doesn't matter against the Khemri. So do we feel like Broken Boys have learned a bit? Do we feel like CRBoyz Giant Stags have learned a bit? It's a good question. I don't know. I think this catcher is going to be able to do massive amounts of work. But the other thing is, that's a niggle against Khemri, which is pretty terrifying. I feel like Khemri. I want to give this to Khemri, I think, because I like Khemri. I think he's going to have learned from his last game. Being down a ward answer and only having the strip ball one when strip ball doesn't do anything is kind of a detriment to the Giant Stags here. So I think I'm going to have to give that to Broken Boys. To Broken Boys. We've got Liverful versus, so we've got Dwarves. And we've got Brets. We just saw those Brets play. They've got some pretty gross stat ups. They've been doing well since they've joined the league. So of the Dwarfs, to be honest, Razor Sharp has won most of his games since he's joined. So this is another difficult one to call. I think it could go either way pretty well. Strength 4 runner is good. A lot of guard. I think this, like, the Brets are going to get outbashed pretty hard here, but the Brets also have the sort of the passing options with this movement 7, Agi 4. Oh god, the strength guy rolled Agi. He leveled up and rolled Agi. That's so dumb. He's got 2 Agi 4s with catch. He's got the pass guy. I think he just doesn't play bash. He plays pass and he wins that, I think. So I'm going to go with Brets. Yeah, he doesn't have a vamp. He has a better vamp. He's trading he's traded Hypnogaze for movement 7, so plus movement, block catch dauntless. That's so stupid. I'm gonna give that to the Brets. We've got Negron Nut Punchers versus One Cheese. Dark Elves versus Rats. We've got One Cheese has recovered a bit. We've got, I think Rex had some missing players for his last game, and I think he'll have them back by now. Did both Storm Vermin, back up to 4 Gutter Runners. We've got the scary Strip Ball one. I think this is Rex Longbone and One Cheese showing a bit of redemption after his last few games and finishing off the season strong with a win. So I'm going to give that to Rex Longbone. We've got Hogstench Bye. And we've got Archangel's Will versus the Chew Toys. So we've got Wood Elves versus Necro. Do the Necro have their wolves back? They've got a wolf. And they're down a white. So they've got 1 white. They've got no tackle. They do have the Mighty Blow block werewolf, though. The claw doesn't help. But they do have the Mighty Blow block movement 8, which can keep up a little bit with the movement of the Wood Elves. Wood Elves have the Strip Ball. They've got a Mighty Blow War Dancer, and they've got a Super Catcher. I think I'm going to give this one to... Archangel's Will, but I don't think it's super straightforward. I think the Chew Toys have a chance at this. If that wolf can do work, they can make some stuff happen and then make it difficult for Archangel. But if Archangel sort of plays typical Wood Elves and manages to do typical Wood Elf things, I think he'll be able to take it over the Necro. He does have a lot. He's got a massive bench, yeah. Well, it's actually not that big. He's there isn't a player up here. So this is really 13 players, which is only a bench of 2. Like, only. I mean, that's a pretty big bench still. But I think the bench doesn't matter against Archangel. He's just going to run away, do Wood Elf things. Chew Toys are going to get a decent amount of... they're going to get 300k in inducements. So that's something. But I feel like if Archangel plays Archangel's game, plays a good Wood Elf game, he's favored to win that against the Necro, missing without any tackle, missing a white. You know, there's only actually one. There's 2 Mighty Blow here, but the white's pretty easy to stay away from. I think if Archangel plays a good Archangel Wood Elf game, he's more than likely favored to win against Necro. If the Necro get lucky, or the Necro play really well, or Archangel gets unlucky, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes Necro. But I think, like, assuming normal dice, assuming, like, if this game was played 100 times, I think Archangel's Will wins, like, you know, 70 of them or whatever, right? Like, on average, Archangel's Will probably takes this. So that's us for this week, I guess. Playoff divisions are mostly locked up. We took a lot longer than normal, but that's because it's me talking by myself, I guess, and I don't have Shador to keep me in check. But I had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time. That's the Week 13 preview, Week 12 review. 1 week left of the division. Playoff spots are all but locked up. In 9D, it's basically locked up. There is a chance for a Lizard team to steal it from the Wood Elves, but, you know, it's not a great chance. Then in 9E, it's not as locked up. It's entirely relying on our Lizard team, the Komodo Killers, to pull off a win to keep their top spot. But it's very likely that we'll see, you know, Lizards in one division, or Lizards or Orcs from this division, and then Wood Elves from the other. We will be back next week, or at least I will be back. I'm not sure if Shador is back by then, but there will be a stream next week, certainly, right at the end of the season, right after Week 13, right before playoffs. We'll go over all the teams, how they've fared, what they look like post a full season of REL, and then we'll take a look at the 2 teams that, in a little bit more in depth, that qualified for the playoffs, and hopefully by then we should also know what teams you guys are playing against. The seedings are set in stone. Like, we know that the winner from 9E is going to play like the winner from, you know, whatever division. But in those divisions, if that playoff spot isn't locked up yet, we don't know who that team is. But if we do, we can see who you guys are going to be playing in the first round of the playoffs. So that'll be pretty cool. Maybe make a little cheeky prediction there. But after that, we'll be turning it over to REL streaming as a whole. All of the playoff matches will be streamed by somebody. Ideally, I can get a hold of the ones, or at least be involved in the ones that, whether I'm the main caster or a co-caster, for the ones that involve our 9D and 9E friends. But there's always the chance that you could be up on the big screen from, like, Full Metal stream or Herringzord stream or something. So that should be sweet. As for me, I don't have a whole lot going on currently. I got knocked out of the Minors playoffs, and that they're over for that matter. So I don't have any Nurgle to play, and I don't have any. I've already played my World Cup qualifier matches for this week, and those are 2-week rollovers, so I've got nothing there. And I don't have any other scheduled matches currently, so it's going to be hard to tell you exactly when my next stream is going to be, unfortunately. For sure, it'll be Wednesday. Worst case, maybe there'll be more Blood Bowl before then. Who knows? If you want to see me, make sure you're followed. If I do something exciting, maybe you get to hang out. I'm glad you guys enjoy them. Sorry it was a bit longer, potentially. Sorry it was maybe not as entertaining with just me. But that's been me for this week. I've been Steakmittens, and he has been not here, so we won't acknowledge him.